Hey guys, welcome back to Read with me, LG. I'm here with another great book for you, and I just want to start off by saying I'm glad you're here today with me, and hopefully you're looking forward to this book. Okay, this is a book that I will assume many of you have never heard of, but it's one that I grew up reading all the time. So it's one of my favorites, and I hope you enjoy it too. Okay, this is called Mr. and Mrs. Pig's Evening Out by Mary Rayner. So the title, Mr. and Mrs. Pig's Evening Out, and the author is Mary Rayner. Okay, so this is obviously Mr. and Mrs. Pig, and these are their little piglets that are a huge part of the story. So we're going to read through those. Okay, now you'll see when we're flipping through this book that many of the pages are very tattered and torn, and although this is not my original copy from when I was little, my mom still has that one. I did buy one for myself because I loved it that much when I was little. And this book is not in print anymore, meaning they do not make new copies of this book. So when I went to go buy it, I bought a used version. So this was an old library copy, meaning many years ago, people used to check it out, apparently from the Burlington Public Library. Okay. And so you'll see that a lot of the pages are torn and tattered, and I'm just going to remind you again that a book does not have to be new and shiny and pretty to be a great book, right? Oftentimes, the old, well-loved books are some of the best, okay? So we're going to get started. Now, this is the title again. This is another cute form. So, Mr. and Mrs. Pig's Evening Out by Mary Rayner. Does that pig look happy? I don't know. He looks kind of scared to me. Let's see what happens. And this one, on the dedication page that I like to always point out, this one says, for Benjamin and William. So right there. So Miss Mary Rayner wrote this book, and she dedicated it to Benjamin and William. We don't know who Benjamin and William are, but they were important to her, right? All right, let's get started with the story. I hope you guys are ready, okay? Once upon a time, there lived a family of pigs. There was Father Pig and Mother Pig. So here is Father Pig and Mother Pig, right? Father Pig is smoking a little pipe, and Mother Pig is cooking some eggs with her little apron on, right? So, just a normal mama and papa. And then there were 10 piglets. They were called Sorrel Pig, Bryony Pig, Hillary Pig, Sarah Pig, Cindy Pig, Toby Pig, Alan Pig, William Pig, Garth Pig, and Benjamin Pig. So here are the 10 piglet siblings. And they have a lot going on, don't they? I see 3 jumping on the bed. I see 1 playing the violin. 1 is hiding here, covering his ears. Maybe he doesn't like the music, huh? This one may be singing. What do you think? Painting face paint on. Playing with a pot on his head and a sword. Oh, and with another pot on his head and sword. So they're being little warriors of some type. And then here's a little piggy holding her stuffed kitten and sitting on the side over here, okay? It's a lot happening in there. 10 piglets, right? One evening, Mother Pig called the children to her as they were playing all over the house. Now, piglets, she said, your father and I are going out this evening. There was a chorus of groans, so again. Not far, said Miss Pig, and I've asked a very nice lady to come and look after you. Okay, so Mom and Daddy Pig want to go on a little date night, and the piglets are not happy. They'd rather Mom and Dad just stay home, right? But she said, don't worry, got a nice babysitter coming. Okay. What is her name? Asked William Pig. I don't like babysitters, said Benjamin. Oh, said Miss Pig, looking vague. Well, she's coming from the agency, so I'm not sure what her name is, but I'm sure you'll like her. We didn't like the last one from the agency, grumbled Garth. I'm sure you'll find that this babysitter will be very nice. Now get along into your baths, and I'll come and tuck you up before we go out. So, we've got William Pig. He wanted to know her name. Mom didn't know it, right? Then we've got Benjamin. He said, well, Do we like her? We don't know. And then Garth Pig reminds them, we didn't like the last babysitter from the agency, right? So then Mama Pig's saying, it's gonna be fine. Go on up. Get ready for bed. I'll be up in a minute. Okay? The piglets took as long as they could having their baths and made a great many puddles and splashes in the bathroom. But at last, Mother Pig got them upstairs. So they were putting off bedtime. I bet some of you have probably tried to put off bedtime. I know I have, right? Sometimes we just don't want to go to bed. So they took a nice long bath, made quite a mess. You can see all the water going off over the side, right? Oop, little piglet over there. Didn't even get, maybe got in the tub, maybe didn't, okay? Then they're finally all going up to bed in their pajamas. So there's Mother Pig getting all 10 piglets up the stairs. Just as she was putting on her best dress, the front doorbell rang. Down ran Miss Pig, grunting and puffing in her haste to open the door. A dark face peered at her, heavily wrapped in a Macintosh and hat. "Are you Miss Pig?" asked a gruff voice. "Yes," said Mother Pig brightly. "Do come in. The children are just getting into their beds. They sleep in bunk beds," she explained. And so they did. 2 to a bed, head to tail, stacked 5 beds high. So this is Mrs. Pig. She just got all dressed up for her evening out with her husband, necklace on, running down the stairs to go open the door. And then she opens the door, and that's the babysitter. Hard to see who that babysitter is, right? I have a feeling we'll find out. "Can you help me?" called Father Pig from the bedroom. Mrs. Pig hurried upstairs. He was just putting on his smart shirt, which he always wore when they went out. It was dark blue, and Miss Pig liked him to wear it because she thought it would make him look thinner. Unfortunately, the buttons would keep coming undone, so that everyone always noticed how very tight the shirt had become. Mrs. Pig struggled to get it done up. Suddenly, she remembered that she had not asked the babysitter's name. She ran out of the bedroom again. So this is Mommy and Daddy Pig. She's trying to help him get dressed, right? Button up his shirt. And then here she is running downstairs because she realized she forgot to ask the babysitter her name. And there's the babysitter. Do you notice anything funny about the babysitter? I think I noticed a little bit of a tail. The babysitter was just settling herself comfortably on the sofa. "Would you mind telling me what you are called?" said Mrs. Pig. "The children do like to know." "It's Mrs. Wolf," said the babysitter, crossing a pair of dark, hairy legs and getting out her knitting. Oh, thanks," said Mrs. Pig without thinking. "Now, Mrs. Wolf, I've left the kitchen light on, and if you should feel like making yourself a hot drink or having something to eat later in the evening, do please help yourself." "Thank you, I shall," said Mrs. Wolf. So there's Mrs. Wolf, looking quite civil. She's knitting and sitting on the couch. Mrs. Pig is just reminding her that she's a guest in their home and she can do as she needs, right? At that moment, Mr. Pig called through to say that he was quite ready, and with many farewell kisses and hugs for the children, Mr. and Mrs. Pig went out for the evening with light hearts. Mrs. Wolf sat in the living room and read magazines and knitted. The piglets all seemed to have gone off to sleep. She went upstairs once to check. It seemed a very long evening. There was nothing to watch on television. After a while, Mrs. Wolf began to feel empty, so she went into the kitchen. But she didn't turn on the kettle. No, she turned on the oven. Then she tiptoed up to the piglets' room. So here's Mr. and Mrs. Pig. And this is Mrs. Wolf. She's getting a little tired. Then she was getting hungry. So then she's walking upstairs to the piglets. In the lowest bunk bed were Garth and Benjamin, snoring faintly. Mrs. Wolf looked longingly at Garth, all rosy, plump, and pink. Then she snatched him up and carried him off downstairs. He made such a snorting and a squealing that all of his brothers and sisters sat bolt upright in bed. Whatever was going on? They just woke up from sleep. They don't know what's happening, right? So here it is when she's looking at them, and she's eyeballing the piglets and said, "Ooh, Garth, he looks plump." And then, she snatched him. She has Garth in her hands, or paws, claws, right? Okay, we gotta find out what happens next. Quick as a flash, Sorrel cried, "After him, everyone! Mrs. Wolf is not to be trusted." Seizing Garth's blanket off his bed, the 9 piglets galloped downstairs as fast as their short little legs would carry them. So here they are. It's a big scene. So there's Sorrel. She's taking charge. She said, "Oh, no, 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 no. We're getting Garth. We're going to help him." Right? And they're all chasing after her. Okay. Let's count them. Do we see 10? I don't know. Let's see if they're all in the picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why are there only 9? Oh, because Garth is the 10th pig and he's in danger, right? They were in the nick of time. Mrs. Wolf was bending over the oven with her back to them, holding Garth, about to put him in. 4 of you take the side of the blanket for that, hissed Sorrel outside the kitchen. The piglets did just as they were told. So Big Sister Sorrel is taking charge. So this is Mrs. Wolf about to put Garth in the oven, and the piglets are watching from behind the door, right? And then here is Big Sister Sorrel taking the lead and telling all her little piglet siblings what they're going to do to help. Because they have to team up, right? To get a big bad wolf. "Now," ordered Sorrel. They ran in and threw the blanket over Mrs. Wolf's head. She backed away from the oven, still holding Garth. Muffled snarls came through the rug. The piglets held on tight. Mrs. Wolf struggled and threshed, but she could not get out. She dropped Garth and went down on all fours. Garth wriggled free. The piglets hung on. Mrs. Wolf braced herself and humped her back, her long hairy tail lashing from side to side. Terrible growls came over her. "Arr. Hang on, everyone," shouted Sorrel. Mrs. Wolf leapt into the air. The piglets were tossed to and fro, but they hung on bravely. So here they are. Here are the piglets with their blanket. And they're going after Mrs. Wolf holding Garth Pig, right? She was about to put him in the oven. We saw that over here. Okay. Now, she has Garth still because they're right outside the oven. They're trying to get her. This is when they've got her and she's thrashing around and they're going to and fro. And there's little Garth who was about to be put in the oven. As soon as they were back on their feet, they circled around her so that the rug was wrapped tighter and tighter. Then they tied the 4 corners together so that she could not possibly get out and left her in the middle of the kitchen. So here they are, going as fast as they can in a circle. You can see how fast they're going because look at the marks behind them showing how quickly they're running. And there she is all tied up, and I see her little wolf tail popping out of the corner. When their father and mother came home, the 10 piglets told them what a narrow escape they had had. Father Pig went out that night and carried the blanket bundle to the middle of the bridge. There he leant over the parapet and shook Mrs. Wolf into the swirling depths of the big river. So they're waiting in their pajamas and they're pointing to say what is in the other room. There is a wolf in a blanket in the kitchen. What would you do? What? If you came home and someone told you there's a wolf in the kitchen in a blanket? That's not something you normally hear, is it? But Mama Pig and Daddy Pig were just glad their babies were okay. They're little piglets, right? And here's Daddy Pig taking the big bad wolf to the bridge, leaning over the edge, which they're calling the parapet, and throwing it out. And she was not heard of again for a very long time. And that's Mama Pig and Daddy Pig back home and sleeping. So, I think that's a great story. What do you guys think? I think it's so fun how the piglets all team up together to help keep each other safe, right? Because usually we have our mommy and our daddy and other safe adults to help keep us safe. But it's really nice to remember that sometimes you gotta team up with the youngins too, right? You gotta team up with your friends or your siblings and make sure everyone's safe. Okay? But I'm glad you guys are here today. I'm glad you enjoyed that book, and I look forward to tomorrow. So have a great one, okay? Bye, guys.